hello. How are you doing this evening there, Beccs?
I am doing pretty well.
So yes, we're doing a special one. We weren't supposed to go this week, but I was like, let's do a special stream. And I asked Kyle and Becks, and they're like, we don't do much for Valentine's Day. So I was like, sweet, let's do a stream.
Yes, exactly. Because we are bah hamburgers on Valentine's Day stuff. But if you celebrate it, enjoy.
And it's just Singles Awareness Day for me, so I don't celebrate. Though I will say a couple of the kids were like, this is for you for Valentine's Day. I'm like, oh, that's sweet of you. Thank you.
Aw. Kids can be nice sometimes.
Yeah. There's a couple. I got a text from one of the teachers being like, where are you? So-and-so wants to give you a present for Valentine's Day. I'm like, oh, I'm in the dungeon. She's like, okay.
The dungeon?
Well, we don't, our school's very cramped and we don't have a lot of space. So for in-school suspension where I was today, I'm literally on the stage in a storage closet with no windows.
Oh, gosh.
And only one door to get in and out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
so
ISS plus windowless single door. Yeah, that's definitely a dungeon. And yes, Steven, I am repping What the Fish. I told you I would. Everybody needs to go buy one, like now. Because they're awesome.
Also, hello, chat. How's everybody doing this evening? So, StreamYards has Becks doing the first one in the chat. YouTube has Eduardo, so I'm going to say Becks wins because StreamYard is usually quicker.
Yes.
And then we had Mystery Snail Guardian. Hello. Anthony's Fishy Friends. Mr. Aquatic News. Fish Tank Dad. Some dude named ATC Aviator. I don't know who that is.
Sounds kind of weird.
We had TJ Autocross, Scott's Aquatics, then Stephen P. 2003, Chris Robinson, Eduardo again with the hashtag. I'm not sure where this hashtag is from, but thank you whoever hashtagged. Baron. Oh, maybe it's Metalheads. It's probably Metalheads.
Probably. That would be my guess.
Rizzy, hello. I hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while. Ben Backstrom. TN Aqua Degenerate, what's going on? Chat, I went jump. Yippee. Collaborations, hello. Skulls. And it's at the bottom, so if I missed you, I'm sorry, but hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
After we did the Skipper stream, I realized we both like small fish, so I figured nano fish was a perfect topic for this evening.
Yes, I agree. I feel like nano fish they're talked about, but I feel like, I don't know, people look at nano fish as kind of like, oh, they're this common stuff that you can, anyone can get guppies and platies and all that kind of stuff. But there's so many cool things that nobody's aware of for nano tanks.
Thank you for becoming a member at the new level, the only level that's going to exist pretty soon.
Lapras. But yeah, I think it would be fun to explore some of the world of the nano tanks.
Yeah. Eduardo, you're not green because I told you that I got rid of the top level membership, but you forgot to redo your middle one.
I need to do that. I need to switch my membership too. And there it is. We were literally just talking about this, Stephen P. We were literally
I just did the poll too. I had some people thank you for 2 months. So I just put up a poll because Bex and I were like, well, what's a nano tank and stuff. So you have 3 options because those are the most common ones I've heard of. So we got 20 and under, 15 and under, and 10 and under. I personally always thought it was 10 and under until I did a video on it and did a little more research and saw 15. So there you go. We'll see we'll let chat decide.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. I've seen most of what I've seen is like 15 and 20 and under is considered nano. But again, it's so subjective, just like what constitutes
Mm-hmm.
a nano fish, because I feel like a lot of it too all comes down to how you keep fish as well.
Right.
So it's interesting. And Miss Jenna P has joined us. Hello, Miss Jenna
Hello,
P.
Genevieve. And thank you, Mark Sterlson and Eduardo, for both becoming members.
Mark Sterlson, I see him a lot. Awesome person. And Mr. Eric Wywack. And Miss Dee Dee.
No, Eduardo, you don't lose any benefits. Calm down.
Eduardo, you're being difficult, bro.
But yeah, like to me, 20 gallons was just a standard size tank.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the tank size that I always went to, because you could do a lot with it, not as much as bigger ones, but a decent amount with a 20. So when I was looking, and I was like, okay, well, to me, a 10 gallon is a nano tank because it's smaller.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, fives and 2.5 is as small as I will go for a tank.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I used to, my very first tank, and I will totally open myself up to being made fun of here. My very first tank, because it's like I've said, I've been keeping fish seriously for a year, but I've technically kept fish for 2. And my first ever tank was one of those cylindrical ones from Topfin, the Betta. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the Betta Soothe or the Betta Flow, something like that. And I had a Betta in it, and it was 3 gallons. And I had like the black gravel and the Buddha and the fake plants, like pretty much your typical entry level. And I had no idea what I was doing, so I kept the stupid cartridges that it came with, and
Mm-hmm.
like I mean it was a mess. It was a mess, but I will say I learned a lot from that tank. But ever since then, I don't 5 gallons. Like 5 gallons, maybe 3 is as low as I'll go, I think, with my tanks, just for my own comfort level. Especially still considering myself to be intermediate beginner,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
I have the 2.5s because when I first started when I got my first beta ever, I got a 1 gallon. And then I quickly realized that is still too small.
Hmm.
So then I upgraded to the 2.5, which it's like a $5 difference. So why I don't know why I got the 1 gallon. And then I ended up with 3 fish, a one, and I mean the 2.5 seems okay. I think if you're only going to keep the one and you put some plants in it, it seems to be okay. I haven't had any issues with the fish, just randomly dying. I've got one that's going on 3 years now in a 2.5, and he's healthy as all can be.
Yeah.
So that's for me, 2.5 is as small as I'll ever go to keep an actual fish in.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I would have been fine with the 3 gallon that I started with had I understood the bacterial colony piece and not kept the throwaway disposable carbon cartridges that do
Mm.
absolutely nothing for you.
Yeah, so I'm like, so I'll use them when I first get the tank, but I won't buy any replacements. Once they're gunked up and disgusting, I'll just get rid of them and just switch to sponge once there's an actual cycle.
Yeah.
And I also use plants, so it's like, to me, the active carbon, I don't need it.
Yep.
Just give me a regular old sponge.
Well, that, and I worry too using active carbon. It's like so on what video was that? My Dennerley mod video.
Mm-hmm.
I had a comment from somebody asking where I would put charcoal, which I'm assuming she meant carbon. Um, and I was just flat out straight. I was just like, honestly, I don't use carbon in my tanks because they are all planted, and I don't want that carbon, removing fertilizers or anything
Mm-hmm.
else like that. I said the only advantageous thing that I see with carbon is removing meds
Right.
from
Same.
water.
Yep. That's what
That's
I
the
use
only
them
thing.
for. I'll
Yeah.
keep one cartridge, and I'll just, when I'm done, I just take it out and let it, dry. I don't. And then when I need to take meds out again, I put it in.
Yeah, exactly. And Stephen, we're getting to your question. First, we have to determine what a nano tank is, and then it's like building blocks, right? We can determine what a nano fish is. If there's even really a way to come up with a hard and fast definition, which I just don't think there is. I don't think in our hobby there's very few things that can have a hard and fast definition.
Yes. Yeah, I don't. It's all, again, that's all, whatever people's opinion. It's all subjective on that because, like, some people keep nothing under a 55-gallon tank. So to them, a 40-gallon breeder could be a nano tank because it's smaller than their normal tank.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. It's hard, right? Because a lot of times, and that's, I think, why a lot of us will not give advice on certain subjects, right? Because at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to what works best for you and your tank and your fish and how you keep them.
Brooklyn had a question. Where to go? So I don't use hang-on-back filters, but I'm considering getting one for a nano tank. I saw people talking about issues with power outages, and that's a problem here. Not sure. So yes, power outages can affect it. I have not in 20 years had a hang-on-back pump go from a power outage. That's, I think, the biggest thing people complain about with hang-on-backs. If they don't have the internal pump, is if you don't get water in it after it's done, it's unprimed, so it'll burn out. I've never run into that. There's also the possibility, your bacteria in the back could die if it's not warm enough, but as long as you've got a cycle tank, that's really not that much of an issue either. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I run hobs on all of my tanks. I usually run hang-on backs, and then I've got sponge filters and all of them.
Yeah,
as
I have sponge filter backups too.
I think the only 2 tanks that I don't have hang-on back filters on, I have the Dinner Lake Corner Nano filters in, which essentially does the same thing, especially after I mod them the way that I do. But I run aqua clears on all of mine, and I always overfilter. So like I've got an aqua clear 20 on my 10-gallon and a 30. Yeah, like I've got the 30 on my 14. Like,
I've
more
got
power.
the title. The title 55 is on this 40-gallon right here, plus a 40-gallon sponge filter.
Yes, like, hey, do it. But my aqua clears, so this is my personal experience. My aqua clears, I have not had a problem with if the water level doesn't drop below a certain point. So as long as the water level doesn't drop, then normally if I turn them off just to do maintenance in the tank, but I don't take water out or anything like that, I can normally just turn it right back on and it will prime itself and go. Because the water stays, there's at least a little bit of water in the reservoir still, so that it's not a dry start. That is just my experience. I know some people with them have had to prime them and everything else. So once again, it's all comes down to, different experiences for different people.
Also, Greg's Planet Tank, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. So I'm going to check in on the poll here because I think our next poll is going to be what constitutes a nano fish, size-wise. So right now, after 33 votes in 10 minutes, so almost everybody in chat has voted. The lowest, so 15 and under has 27%, 20 and under has 30%, and 10 and under is coming in with 42% of the vote.
Okay, so we're going to go forward saying 10 and under, according to chat, is nano tank.
And I agree with that too, because that's what I've just always considered. I didn't even know you could get 15-gallon tanks. So I don't even know what the footprint for a 15-gallon tank is. Because I've only seen 10, and then it jumps to 20 usually. So
I have the Aqueon Cube, the 14-gallon Aqueon Cube, the rimless. I really like those. And so wait, did I just see something about Matt asking if we're in? Okay.
Wait,
yes,
what?
Matt. I'm sitting on my bed, Matt, because my rib is bothering me tonight, and I'm more comfortable sitting back here.
Also, hello, Fishie and Metalheads. Hello.
Blizzle and Myrtle.
Hey, Myrtle, what's going on?
He did so well on his focus on. It was so cool to actually finally see him. That was awesome. So glad you did that, Myrtle.
Yes.
But
If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It was a fun one. That was one of the few I've actually stayed for the whole thing.
mhm. Yes, I literally got so excited. It was sad. Like I'm watching, and Kyle was out picking up something, and he comes walking in the door right as Myrtle takes the cardboard down, and I literally was like, Myrtle! I was like clapping. He's like, what is going on? It was awesome, very awesome.
All right,
Okay,
chat. There is your next poll.
so
Your
Ben
option.
Backstrom just put up. Hello, Ben. Just put up 15-gallon would be 24 by 12 by 13.
Okay.
Okay, makes sense. And then I
So
thought
the
I saw.
options that I put for this one are 5 and under, 4 and under, 3 and under, and then 2 and under. And I actually looked into this before. A lot of things were saying 2 and under, and that's what brought up the question of, well, betta fish get bigger than 2 unders, but they're considered one of the most popular nano fish.
Mm-hmm.
And the website literally said in the opening 2 inches and under, and then they listed a betta fish and said 3 inches. And I'm like, how can you put that in your top 20 list if you just said that 2 inches and under?
Yeah, and then another perfect example, which I'm gonna be getting here soon, is coolie loaches, right? So Corey, if you watch Corey's care videos on coolie loaches or his videos on best fish, top 5, whatever for 5 gallons, he lists coolie loaches as one of those options, and coolies get like 4 inches. Now, granted, they're noodles, but
Yeah.
if we're going, it's like we're going by length. I mean, they're 4 inches.
Yeah. Hey, Craig. But yeah, that means I can get cooler loaches for my 5 gallon here.
According to Corey. And hey, I mean, my thing is, as long as they're happy,
Now, I think the other thing is it also depends on the type of fish, because in the African cichlid world, I think mbunas would be considered nano because they're on the smaller side compared to, the haps and the frontosas and all them. And those will get 4 to 5 inches. But in the African cichlid world, that would be considered nano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, hello, Leo 209 Aquatics. How's it going?
And let's see. I swear I just saw something from, who was it? I want to say it was Steph. It was talking about she has a 5.5 and she needs to reseal it. That's one I've heard a lot of people say they've got like 5.5. I haven't seen a 5.5 gallon.
Yeah, there's some weird sizes out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was looking for a stand when I was looking to get a 55, which is now going to be a 60 reader. But I was looking for a stand, and I saw that Fluval has a new line, their shaker line of stands. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But when I saw the sizes that they listed, I'm like, you can't even really find these sizes. They were awkward ones, like 33s. And yeah, it was really, really weird. Hello, Jimmy P. Let's see. And then I just saw
Weird.
Eduardo says he has a 5.5, and it's 11 years old. And then I saw something from Metalhead. Nanofish for some people is anything below 10 inches.
Oh, that's a new one.
I mean, maybe we're talking about like the Oscar in the 10 gallon, if we're gonna go by the inch per inch of fish per gallon rule.
Hey, Crown Tail and Jimmy P, what's going on?
Hello, Crown Tail Half Moon. Good to see you in here.
Daniel
and
Velez. Also, guys, the desk is done.
Yes, it looks awesome.
The desk is finished. Finally.
And then I saw. It looks really good, Lefty. I enjoy all the 5 gallons behind you. It looks really, really nice.
I want to put another one where Pikachu is, but it's dead center, and there's no support beam in the middle. Yeah. So I'm a little eerie, but then I'm thinking I could get a piece of board and make a support because there's a strut right here. So
we'll see. You could. And then I saw something interesting from Steven here. I consider only one of my 15 tanks as a nano. It's a 7-gallon. Yeah, okay, I know the one he's talking about with chili raspberries and battis. Okay,
but it's not a good fish right there.
Yeah, Battis. That's the Scarlet Battis, isn't it?
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now, for me, I would say 3 inches and under is a nanofish. In the realm of, what I've kept.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because to me, I don't know. And like just getting into the whole what size tank for bettas can open up Pandora's box in
So that
itself.
opens up a can of worms right there, yeah.
Yeah, because there are some people. Um, Thank you for the correction, Steven. See, I'm still learning.
Oh,
Dario. Okay.
well, to you, Stephen. Hey, Yellowstone, how's it
Okay,
going?
Myrtle said the Battis is blue Battis. Because that isn't
Because that's specific.
3
Liquid Z, are you
inches.
happy the desk is built?
It looks so good. What do you have in the tanks behind? If we were talking about nano tanks, I mean they're all 5
So,
gallons. So what do we got?
this is a 5 that I have divided in half with a beta on each side. They're both, I think they're both HMPKs. Where'd you go? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're both HMPKs. This is this is one of the tumor betas I got from Lisa, and he's also got some blue neon rasboras with him. And then the tank over here that's just out of view is my dwarf emerald rasboras are in there. This tank is a 2.5 that had a beta fish in it. He sadly passed after 3 years. So right now it's just a tank full of Java fern.
Nice.
And then above me that you can't see is my 10-gallon that has a beta, a honey gourami, 4 zebra danios, 4 of the orange danios, and then Semelius cories in it.
Nice.
And possible shrimp, but I haven't seen a shrimp since I put it in the tank, so they could be living in the clump of plants for all I know.
They tend to like some of them tend to like to do that.
Metalhead, where's the new tank going? So I don't know if you saw on Discord, but there was a flower horn someone posted on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to rehome it. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my god, this is freaking gorgeous. So I messaged Metalhead, I messaged Michigan Tropics, and I'm like, what's the smallest size tank that I need for a flower horn? Because I really want this fish. Hang on. Pulling up the picture so y'all can see
It's
it.
pretty. It is very I've never seen one that looks like that. Like that coloring.
Let me not do it in the same window. I'm also not on my desktop, so I'm going to be a little slower at doing things this evening.
Oh, while you're looking, I will go back to a comment that Eduardo made. There we go. Oh, it's so pretty. And then I'll get back to Eduardo. It is so pretty.
I want him. He's a 7 to 8 inch finch, the guy said.
Wow.
$140, and apparently that's a really good deal for a fish that big. He's only a year and a half old.
Wow.
So if I got the new tank, it'd be going on the wall over there, and I would just have to buy the tank.
So, what was the answer to your question as far as like what can you get away with for keeping the flower horn in small wild small tank?
55, I think, was the smallest they recommended.
It's not bad.
And then I was talking about the new 60 breeder, but I don't know that I would be able to fit that one where I want to put it.
That's always the hard part.
Let me just double check what the other answer was.
Yeah, so Eduardo said that he's got a 20 high and a 20 long that he considers nano tanks with nano fish. One has black neons and minnows. The other has green tiger barbs and candy cane tetras, both with corridors.
That's a nice sounding tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, they sound very nice. And I mean, to me, all my tanks are nano, right? Like my biggest one's my 14 right now. And then I've got a 14 that is community. I've got my 10 that is betta with pygmy cories and coolaloges soon, hopefully. And then I've got my 6 that's my snail colony tank. And I've got my 5 that is a murder bane tank. And then I have my
That's your pea
newest.
puffer for people who don't know.
Yes, my pea puffer, my little pea puffer. His name's Smeagol, but it's Murder Bean. Um, the way that fish goes after snails, it's amazing. But my newest tank that I'm actually cycling right now is a 3-gallon rimless Aquayan cube that used to have my snail colony. That is now going to be a shrimp only tank, and it is
Oh,
cycling and getting nice and ready for some scrimps.
okay. Oh, I do have a 5 underneath here. That's also just mulm and shrimp. But again, don't know if there's actually shrimp in it because I never see shrimp when I have them in tanks anyway. So there could be a colony growing in there. There could be nothing but plants. I don't know.
That happened to me. So when I first brought home my Amano shrimp, right? I was super excited because I'm like, yeah, they'll eat hair algae. I've got a little bit of hair algae going on. And I had read, I'm like, it depends on the betta. Some bettas will tolerate shrimp and some bettas will want to eat the shrimp. So
Mm-hmm.
I brought a handful of them home because I wasn't gonna risk a huge amount. So I got like 5 or 6. And I brought them in and I put them in the tank, and I had a piece of dragonstone in there, and they managed to find all the little holes and all the hidey holes in that dragonstone
Oh,
because Sakura was just like, food, 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 and just went after them. So I never saw them. And that's when I'm like, well, this isn't fun. So I took them out and ended up putting them in my community tank, and now they're everywhere. They're here, they're there. They're fun to watch. They're constantly cleaning the substrate. I love them. They're hilarious.
hey, Paul Cetera, what's going on?
Hello, Paul.
Yeah, pea puffer was another one that I wanted to do at some point. But I don't know if I want to just do one. I'd want to do more than one in a tank.
Do like a community.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'd get more personality out of them with a small group of them versus just a singular. But I don't think I have a tank I could do more than one in, so
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'll
mean,
see what it-
mine shows his personality. I mean, I'm definitely for sure I think he would show more if he had some tank mates of his same species. But it's again like being in an apartment, and I think that's what makes nanofish so great is when you are in
Mhm.
my position, right? And you're in like I don't know an 1,100 square foot apartment with 2 bedrooms. You don't really have a lot of space for a lot of
Yeah,
tanks.
then I could definitely see doing that.
Yeah, so I was like, well, we'll go with one. And I was worried, right? Because you read a lot of times, once again, the interwebs, they'll tell you, like, oh, you shouldn't keep one by itself. They do better in groups. And people have said, oh, yeah, I think mine died because it didn't have, other
Mm-hmm.
pea puffers with it. But I think it's the fish because my little dude is like perfectly happy, man. He is
Yeah,
definitely
I
happy.
found that with most of my betas, I feel like benefit from having the extra tank mates because it
Mhm.
makes them more active, so they have something to somewhat chase and get some more exercise and flare out from time to time.
Mhm.
Then there's just one out of like 10 that'll be like, F you, I don't want anything with me. I'm going to flare at this snail for 20 minutes and then eat it.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And I agree with you because I noticed a change in Sakura, right? So he's been by himself since May.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until probably about 3 weeks ago that I added the pygmy cories. And I noticed that he is way more active now that the pygmy cories are in there with him than he was when he was by himself. Like way more active. I think it's the enrichment, right? Because
Yeah.
bettas are intelligent fish, and
Mm-hmm.
they benefit from that enrichment. Absolutely, and I
I
think
mean,
he's happier.
yeah, I definitely I feel like keeping them by themselves is almost like keeping us in solitary confinement. It
Hmm.
messes with us. It's gonna, again, depending on the beta fish, it can stress them out and make them depressed. Yes, I think they can get depressed.
Hmm.
People are probably gonna say I'm crazy, but and then
I
you
agree.
add that like, why else would breeders and people that keep hundreds of them for sale let them see each other and flare every now and then? Like,
Hmm.
there's a reason that they do that. So to me, having the tank mates in there is just that that extra, encouragement to stay active and not just get lethargic.
Yeah, especially with the long fin.
Mm.
Like when you're done with the long fin bettas, it's they need enrichment. They need because they're not swimmers. Like they're lazier because they're trying to think about it. Long fin bettas. It's always like I say to my husband, like soccer is swimming around in the water with a damn wedding dress on. Like
Yeah.
can you imagine trying to do that? Like hauling a wet ball gown everywhere because that's
Hey,
basically
ABC.
what the long fins do.
Yeah, if you've ever jumped, if you jumped in the pool with your full clothes on, you're heavy because of all the water. So that's why. And if you're going to keep the longer fins, they suggest smaller tanks for them
Yep.
with more places for them to rest. Because try carrying around a 50-pound bag on your back all day, and tell me you're not tired.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like that's why I have soccer is in a 10-gallon column tank.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm sure there's plenty out there who are like, you can't keep bettas in a 10 column. Like,
I mean, I keep a. I think it's a fantail or a full moon. I can't tell what you are. Maybe it's a fantail. He's in a 6-gallon column, well, cylinder, and it's about 2.5 feet tall. But I got him a floating beta log, and once I put that in there, that's where he goes to rest, or he'll go to the bottom and rest. He loves it. So.
well, yeah, and I make sure in his tank I've got tons of Ludwigia and
Mm-hmm.
Rotala that grow all the way to the top, and he loves just lounging in them.
I'll never forget when I had my sorority, and I had the dwarf water lettuce and the Java fern or Java moss was growing crazy, and they would get up on top of the Java moss, be half out of the water using the dwarf water lettuce as a pillow, and I'm like, you're gonna freaking die. You're half out of the water, you stupid fish. But they would just lay there.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And like perfect example. So you've been able to keep lots of your bettas with other fish, but
Mhm.
then when you look at Lady Metalhead saying that her betta is just like a monster, right? Like it will not
Yeah,
tolerate anything, not even snails.
I've only had one like that. I put ram's horns because I have ram's horns in all my tanks. Put a ram's horn with this guy. I watched him headbutt it until it fell off the side of the tank and fall on its back, and then he literally went and pecked the dang. Like I'm like, oh my god.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, you're done having tank mates.
Yes. And I think I just saw Ian come in. Hi, Ian.
Hey, Ian, what's going on? I'm super jealous about the fish auction they had at their club yesterday.
I didn't
Ian
see that.
live streamed the whole thing if you missed it. So the stuff was going for dirt cheap. There was like a bag of Tetras. They went for $5,
Wow.
and I was like, "Oh yeah, yes, please." I think it was a bag of silver tip Tetras was $5, and I think were there 12 in the bag, Ian? I can't remember.
Wow.
Hey, Rustic Nashville, what's going on? So
And
let's see. Let's check in with the poll here. I'll let it run longer though.
yeah, where are we sitting at?
So we got 55 votes, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
4 inches and under is at 7%.
Mm-hmm.
5 inches and under is at 11. 3 inches and under is at 22. And with a whopping 60% of the vote, 2 inches and under is winning.
Okay. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I mean that's what most of the internet said
Mm-hmm.
for nanos, which there's plenty of fish that fall into that 2 inches or under category.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, there were 10 silver tip Tetras in the bag for $5,
Nice.
which to me is still a killer deal.
Nice. What up, Joe Stan? Thanks for coming and saying hi, and happy Valentine's Day
Hello.
back.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
And
We get to
he
talk
says
fish
he
now.
thinks 1.25 and under for Nano.
Okay. Oh, I just heard back from the dude about the fish. He said, cool, just text me whenever you're ready.
Nice.
Oh, God. Am I actually going to get a flower horn? We're talking about nano fish, and now I might get a flower horn. Complete opposite of a nano fish.
I mean, hey.
I used to hate those fish too. Like I
Power
hated
horns?
them. I thought they were ugly. I hated them with a passion. And then I saw them in person at Aquashella, Chicago. And then I was like, these fish are stunning. Because it was that big orange one that everyone wanted footage of. I was like, oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, Leo has a question here. How often do you switch your beta tank's water? So with the nano, so with the 5s and the 2.5s, I do weekly. I do half weekly, and that seems to be fine. I've gone as much as 2 weeks, but then I found that the fish, they started getting fin damage if it went longer than a week, so I do weekly changes. I use API stress coat when I do my water changes, and then I monthly do the essentials, API essentials, just to add a little extra. If the tanks are big, like the 10-gallon, I don't do water changes in that at all because there's a clump of plants in it, so I don't. And the nitrates stay at 20. I don't have to touch it. The 6-gallon, that gets every other week because there's less fish in it, and it seems to be. I don't know why, but that one seems to be better. But yeah, so I do once a week on my 5s and 2.5 with betas in them.
And I'll just chime in on that. My 10-gallon, even though it's a 10 and it's just, for the longest time it was just Sakura, I still did weekly. And I think for me, it's just keeping on that schedule.
Yeah.
It helps. So I split my water changes. So I'll do half on Friday and then I'll do the other half on Saturday. And everybody gets somewhere around like 25 to 30% water change. And then for the shrimp tank, I'll do a smaller, like 25% for that one. But
I forgot what I was going to say.
One thing I think is interesting too on that note is a lot of the times your plants, like we've talked about all the time, right? The type of plants that you have can help you go longer between water changes.
Yes.
Because some of them are just nitrate destroyers. And like perfect example, my snail colony tank, 6 gallons, I haven't changed that water in almost 2 weeks. And you're talking this thing, I just had an explosion of snails. I just tested it yesterday. Nitrate is sitting just barely at like 15-ish parts per million. And I swear it is chock to the hilt full of water wisteria.
Yeah, I've noticed anything with a floating plant, those things just suck it up like a sponge, and I don't really ever have to do water change. Like the 20-gallon that I have the wild betas, the emerald breath borers, and the black neons in, I don't water change it at all. And it's got dwarf water lettuce and Java moss that's growing crazy in it. I have not changed the water in that tank in 2 years. I just top it off when it gets 2 inches below.
Yeah, and that's, stem plants, like the water wisteria that I've got, and especially that one. That thing is just, yeah, exactly, Myrtle. Exactly. They are nitrate sponges. And then, yeah, the floaters, the floating plants. I actually tried to quarantine some a while ago. I don't keep them anymore because all of my tanks where I'm in Colorado and it's so dry have tops on them to keep water from evaporating too quickly. But that creates a lot of humidity. And
I have
they just
my tops. I have tops on all of mine. Depends on them. I've noticed that the water salvia doesn't really mind getting wet. Like I want a 5-gallon in Chicago that has a super bright, it's an aqua top that has a super bright light on it. The water wisteria it's like growing so much it's folding underwater, and it's still growing and not dying off.
Oh yeah.
So that one seems to be doing okay. The dwarf water lettuce, that will get yellow and die off if it gets wet. The red root floaters seem to be hit or miss.
Yeah, I've heard that with the red root. I did.
Metalhead, good night.
Night, Metalhead. I did. What did I have? I had dwarf water lettuce for a long time, and I had Amazon frogbit.
Okay, I tried frogbit. It didn't like me.
mine loved me. And I think it's the amount of nitrate that it was able to suck up. But Chris, I literally test every week for everything. I test GH, KH, pH, ammonia, nitrate, everything. I keep an eye on all of my water parameters. I'm one of those people that is just like OCD. I literally keep spreadsheets.
I'm not that bad.
Oh, I am.
All right. Leo209 Aquatics, thank you for the super chat here. It says best nitrate plant for, I'm assuming that's supposed to say Nano 5 gallon. Nano 5 gallon. I mean, I like Anubias in all my 5 gallons. And the nitrates usually stay low in those, but again, I do the weekly changes. I've done red root floaters in nano tanks, and they do okay, depending on the light. Any of your mosses would be good ones, probably. Depending on the profile of the 5, too, is good. Because like a 5 gallon column, you could probably do some different stem plants in it, but like these 5s don't get super tall. So if I was to put, my Bacopa or something in these, I'd be trimming it constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just depends on the level of work you want to put in.
Yeah. But definitely Anubias is always an easy one for Nano 5. Like, that's all this is 2 Anubias in it, and it does great. Nightbot is not posting links because it does not seem to want to be working tonight, Jenna. It just decided to say F me and not work, even though I have it open.
Yeah. Nightbot can be... Let's see. I want to... Oh, geez, Steven. I'm looking at Chris's comment. 90 lost all cage in 3 days from 500 mystery snails. Yeah, I watch all of that like a hawk. Like a hawk. And Brickley, I don't want to hear it. That sounds amazing. I love jambalaya. It's not even fair. I haven't eaten dinner yet, and that just sounds so good. Oh, it's Kelly Foreman.
Hey, Kelly.
The amazing Miss Kelly.
Oh, hang on. There was another. Oh, Leo was talking about getting an alien beta from John and Lisa. Cool. Yeah, they take care of theirs. That's why I'll always recommend them, because Lisa's extremely overprotective of her fish, and basically lives in her beta room and takes care of hundreds of tanks.
Yeah, they're gonna be my next place that I get my next betta. Is gonna be KG Tropicals easily. The one I have now is I got him. I walked into PetSmart and I saw him floating there. And I'm like, oh, he's a Dumbo and he's really pretty, but he looks so sad. And I'm like, I know they tell you don't do this, but I had to go home with him.
That's why I have to avoid PetSmart, because every time I walked in, I was like, ooh, new beta fish, ooh, new beta fish, ooh, new beta fish. And that's when I ended up with 10 of them. And it's like, crap. Then I ordered 6 from Dan, and then I ordered 7 from John and Lisa when they launched their site. And the next thing I know, I have 20 beta fish.
Yeah, I'd love to do it better, like an entire rack, just a big.
I want to do a 20 by 20 foot long wall, 10 foot high of nothing but beta tanks.
That would be absolutely amazing. That would be amazing.
Paul had a comment here real quick, and then I'll grab Rustic Naturals thing. Let's see. Paul said, couple of cool nano fish, probably not with a beta. Ruby tetras, yes, love them. Do well in an Apista tank. Pseudomogio illuminatus, I love those. I wish they would have bred for me. They unfortunately did not. And then peacock gudgeons and snakeskin barbs. Those all sound wonderful.
Yeah, Luminatus is on my bucket list, and now so is Fricatus. I think the one that Jason did his video on. The moment I saw that,
oh yeah,
I was like, I've got to have them. They're beautiful.
I remember Blake as Aquatics did one of his ranking streams was just pseudomocals. And there were so many cool kinds. There was like a Pacific Blue Eyes, or it was a stunning fish too. So I would love to do just a bunch of pseudomogil tanks. I would love to do a bunch of killifish tanks, because I'm in love with my killifish. Like, after I got those 2 different kinds at the Clash, now I just want to set up a bunch of 5s and 10s and breed the crap out of them.
Yeah. Killies are definitely on my short list too for the next time I do another nano, I think that would be really, really cool. But now I'm kind of doing like you did with the flower horn, right? Like now I'm thinking about the 60 breeder. I'm like, what can we do? I have more
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
But yeah, Achilles,
Speaking of Blake, there he is right there. Hey, Blake.
nice. Nice.
So let
Hello,
me get
Blake.
Russick Nashville's super chat here real quick. Thank you, Russick Nashville, for the $4.99. It says, today I realized my big angel was getting attacked by a new tank tiger barb babies.
Ooh.
She is 6 inches and the baby barb was the half-inch barb was attacking your 6-inch angel. Was it just going after like its long fins, or was it like actually going at the body? Holy.
Wow.
Well, hopefully everything works out and then the angel's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's surprising because angels,
yeah.
they're little a-holes.
Well, like before, I was gonna do a breeding tank of cobalt blue angels because they looked stunning. And after seeing Dean's interview or Rico's interview with Dean, and he was like, "Angelfish are the currency of the fish community." I'm like, that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I've never bred them before, but then flower horn. Now I want the flower horn.
Sometimes you just get distracted, like, oh, thank you, Steven. Yeah, apparently I'm 8 away from 200.
Yes, everyone go sub to Beccs if you're not yet. Come on.
So, question for you, Lefty, getting kind of back to the main subject.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your favorite nanofish according to our new guidelines?
So according to 2 inches and under, which still is winning.
Right on, Paul.
Everyone's probably gonna think I'm gonna pick a tetra or something.
That would have been my guess.
Honestly, if I had to pick something that's not a beta fish, probably these dwarf emerald rasporas up here. I'm gonna go with the dwarf emerald rasporas.
Yeah, those are nice. Those are definitely nice. I think for
or
me,
CPDs.
Yeah, Celestial Pearl Danios. I actually just watched your video on the Celestial Pearl Danios.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, so if you guys haven't seen that one, it's interesting. I learned a little bit from that one. I've known about Celestial Pearl Danios, and there's definitely another one on my list, but I learned some interesting things from lefties.
I honestly didn't know how recent they were discovered.
I did not.
Like, I knew it was recent, but I didn't know it was in the 2000s recent.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, for the life of me, I could have sworn that I remember my mom like going shopping for him back in the 90s,
like the fact that they were just discovered in 06 is still baffling to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Aquatic News, good night.
Good night, Aquatic News. And Eduardo's weighing in and saying that his are the Carry Blue Tetras.
Okay.
Emperor Tetras, yeah. Well, I'm going to be different. And mine would be my Pygmy Corridors.
Okay. Now, did they just randomly decide to start breeding in your tank?
Yep.
Did you do anything special? Or did they just decide, hey, we're going to breed today?
They just decided. I was literally sitting in front of my tank one evening, and it was after Christmas. It was maybe a week after Christmas, and my parents had gone home and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden I see this this thing was like that big, and I just see it go darting across, and I'm like, oh crap, I've got something, like maybe Scud's got in here, or maybe it's something like planaria or something. Nope. I kept watching, it came back, and it was a teeny tiny little pygmy Cory. And I thought, I told Kyle, I said, oh my god, Kyle, I have Fry. And they haven't stopped. I keep finding more, and I need them to stop. Like, somebody asked me on Dan's stream what I did, if I did anything special and what my tank parameters were. And I told him, I'm like, I can tell you my tank parameters, but I don't know what caused them to just decide to start breeding.
Now, do we get are most of our Pygmy Corys commercial bred, or are they still wild caught?
I've seen it. It depends on the where you're buying them from. So like my LFS guy, all of his are wild.
Maybe it's just spawning season for them.
It very
And
well
they
could be. It very well could be, because I do know the corridors can sense barometric pressure. Like you can try and simulate conditions, and sometimes it works for some of them, but they're awesome little guys. Mine, I believe, were tank bred because I got mine from Dan.
I have a small group in my 6 gallon with my betta fish and CPDs, and that tank is, I don't really look at it much because it's cylinder, and never get a cylinder tank because it is a B.5 to try and film or look and get any kind of angle on your fish.
Oh yeah, been there, done that with that one.
Let's see. Leo had a question here. Leo said, "Neat, another stocking idea for a 5 gallon. All right, are you looking for a singular fish, a schooling fish, or inverts? We'll start there."
Yeah. Yeah. And Steven, I can imagine. I mean, listen, I want to do a care video. I want to do a care guide on my pygmy corridors. But the problem is, every time I get close to those tanks, because now they're in 2, they know. And they go like far away.
Yeah, they like to hide. They like to hide.
See, mine don't. Mine are out all day, every day, just doing their thing. But as soon as that camera lens comes up, they're like, "Oh hell no, lady."
Mine hide inside of a miniature AT-AT.
I love
they get
that.
inside the compartment and hide, and it's like, oh great, I can't get footage of you now.
I love that.
Paul saying underrated nanofish is a pencil fish. Those are cool. Pencil fish are cool. Definitely cool.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know. Mine just started breeding. I have no idea what it was. When I do my water changes, I literally make sure the water is the exact same temperature as the tank that it's going into. I wasn't using cooler water. I wasn't doing anything other than I was feeding baby brine. I was feeding baby brine once a week. And then lots of wafers. Mine really wafers.
I've also heard that certain fish, if they know there's a live food source, they know that their offspring will be, have a food source that's plentiful, so that will cause them to spawn. I know that was a thing with a lot of killifish when I was looking at breeding them. People said if you give them live baby brine or live foods, it'll entice the parents into feeling secure enough to know that their offspring will have a food source. So maybe that's the reason. Between that and the water changes, you were, somehow stimulating them.
It very well could be. And the thing is, because they're pygmy cories, I don't think I could probably see the eggs even if I tried.
Oh, probably not. They're probably microscopic.
Yeah, and like in a tank that is literally half full of nothing but jungle Vallisneria that is like growing up and around.
Yeah, good luck.
I probably would never see them.
Thank you, TJ Gross, for the Superman flying pair. Super sticker. Appreciate it very much so. Leo is following up with a schooling fish. So a 5-gallon Nano schooling fish. Okay. You've got blue Nano, or what? I can't even think of the name. The blue neon rasboras are going to be a cool one. They do require a very low pH, so unless you can get your water to 6 for a pH, maybe don't go with them. The dwarf emerald rasboras are another good, cool schooling fish. Plant up the tank, you'll get some decent, cool behavior out of them. Emerald eye rasboras, it's going to give you a nice, tight schooling there. Chili rasboras and ember tetras. There's 5 different choices for you, different range of different things. I'm going to go with those.
I like the chili rasboras. And I like the ember tetras too. They're both really pretty. They have just like pop of color. And then talking about pencil fish, I was trying to think of the one that Dean talks about a lot, Beckford's pencil fish that is like really bright, really pretty, has some red on it. That's the one I was trying to think of. Now here's a good thing. So Kelly, which I already knew, Kelly is anti-pleco. Because Kelly is all about those plants, man. She's not going to put anything in those tanks that's going to mess with her plants. Opinion as far as smaller tanks, we'll go with 15 and under is a Nano. On a lot of these designer dwarf plecos, decent or no for a smaller? Because I have one in my 14. I have the Colombian zebra.
I
think Lefty left us. hopefully Lefty comes back.
Hi.
There he is. And we're back.
As I was saying, I just came across one of these today. It's the L136 Angelicus pleco. Have you heard of that one?
Yes.
So apparently they max out at 3.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
In a 10-gallon, I would say probably I'd get one.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd want to go under 10.
No, I wouldn't either. I would do like one of the design. I call them like designer type plecos because it's all about how they look, right? Like the mini snowball, the zebra, the Colombian zebra. I have my L129 Colombian zebra pleco. Yeah, they're really, and they're so cute too. I mean, how do you not love those little faces?
Like, I would highly consider getting this for a 10-gallon tank if I didn't already have an overstock 10-gallon behind me.
Yeah. Paul, I never see mine. That's the downside though, right? So you get them because they're so pretty. And even, you'll hear people say, oh, if you heavily plant your tank, you'll see them more often. If you have dimmer light, you'll see them more often. Broski, I have dim light in that tank because the Vallisneria has grown all the way across. And it is so heavily planted that just the very front of it is open. I still don't see that thing.
Yeah, I don't even see my albino rhizonos unless it's nighttime and all the lights are out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will stay up underneath this tree log until the tank lights are out and my overhead light is out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Kelly and Steven both said it. Like, they're poop machines. So if you are gonna, even one of the smaller ones, right? Like, you still have to keep up on water changes and testing your water parameters. And I wouldn't do it in a 10-gallon unless it was heavily planted.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, I already know my 10-gallon is pretty much overstocked.
All mine are.
3, 6. There's over a dozen fish in that tank. But it's also over-filtered and has a literal clump of plants. I should actually see it while the lights are on and I have the camera closer if I can get you guys a shot of what it looks like with the plants. Hold, please.
Yeah.
So hang on, there's too much light. This is all plant in here. Hang on.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's just all plants. It's all stem plants and mosses. There's Java fern in there somewhere, but
wow.
So that's why I feel comfortable, having it overstocked.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about my 14. I mean, it's like I said, like there's barely a single square inch of that tank that isn't covered in some kind of plant. And it's, Joe stands right. Overstock just means more water changes. Just, that's the thing. Like, I hate the term overstocked.
Yeah, it's a terrible, because it is and it isn't. Like, you can have something overstocked to shit as long as you keep up on maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another one because of that massive clump of it's the fluaca and all just the random stem plants and stuff in there. The nitrates don't get above 10 parts per million. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'd rather just leave it alone than play with it and mess up what's already going on in the tank. I know it sounds bad, but it's working. The fish are eating. They're healthy. Like, why am I going to mess with a good thing?
Yeah, and that's how I feel. I mean, my 14. Now I had to take out some of the pygmy cories because they just won't stop messing with each other and making more. But I wouldn't add any more fish to that right now.
Ed,
it's Chattanooga Ed. What's up, buddy? But I'm not worried about it. The fact that my water always tests the way that it should, and if something's slightly off, I know it, and I'll do what I need to do. But I haven't had an issue with that yet. And the same with my 10-gallon. That one's chock full of plants.
Mhm.
And I'm not worried about, I've got, a handful of pygmy cories plus the betta. I'm not worried about throwing in, 4 coolies in there. It'll be fine.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that I might move tumor beta here, which he's a beautiful Dalmatian beta. It's such a shame that he has a tumor, because if he didn't, I would probably love to try and breed him, but I can't because I don't want that genetics to get passed on. So I'm debating putting him in this, Java Fern in ridden tank, and then getting another good schooling size of the blue Neanraspora for this tank instead. Because my water is at 6 pH, and I have plenty of other botanicals that I want to try and bring it down further.
Mm-hmm.
But they require really good water quality, so then I would definitely have to make sure I keep up on water changes with it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I get what you're saying, Paul Soltero, about those designer plecos cost a lot. Like most of them cost some big bucks. So it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth spending the money if you're not going to see them?
I mean, but that's true of most plecos.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
most
nocturnal.
plecos, you're not going to see a lot. Yeah, exactly. So unless I will say if I throw a bug bite in, like one of the pleco ones, it will come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I move too suddenly, it's gone.
Oh, yeah. It's like I said on Skipper Stream, and the only time I ever see, okay, y'all don't laugh at me. I named mine. I named him Pancake because he's flat and kind of round, and he looks like somebody drizzled syrup all over him.
Oh.
But the only time that I ever see Pancake is when he's on that log, and I have to lift it up for some reason. And then he won't leave. So it's just, see, there you go, Jason. What kind of pleco is it, Jason?
And then Chris here. Does the beta have, so it is a tumor. It is a full-blown tumor coming off the side of him. But luckily, this one, it's just behind his dorsal fin, so it's not impeding on his gills. So the red and white and blue one I had from Lisa, that one was like right on his gill. So he did not last very long because as the tumor grew, it was impeding his gills. So he basically lost full function of one of his gills. So I think he didn't even make it 6 months because I lost him right before Christmas. And I had just gotten him at the Clash in September. So.
Oh. And Jason said, so, yep, it's a clown pleco. They are kind of notorious for that too.
Mm.
Yeah, that was my original, what I wanted.
I agree with Paul's comment here. If I'm paying over $100 a fish, it's going to be a discus.
Yes.
I cannot see paying over $100 for a pleco.
I couldn't,
like, unless it's going to be for breeding to make money, I couldn't see keeping. Like, I'm trying to think. Ed, do you remember what James paid for that colony of snowballs?
Oh, I love snowballs. So
I thought it was a few. Was it 700 or was it 1,200?
I know. I think
I can't remember.
I think Dan sells his mini snowballs. I want to say he starts them at like 50 or 75. I could do that, but that's about as high as I would go.
I don't know. Like, I was having trouble spending $20 on African cichlids. I thought that was a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm, flower horn 140. It's like, do I want this fish? I'm just going to keep harping on that fish.
It's pretty.
Oh, zebras. Sorry.
Yeah,
100 to 200 a piece. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah. The mini snowballs are expensive, but they're not like zebra.
That comment right there, I 100% agree with. I'd rather a school of 100 cardinals than a pleco because that would be a beautiful tank.
It would.
Nice, it's like some Val hairgrass in there, some dwarf sage in the front. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about on Skipper's stream. Just one big tank with a huge shoal of nano fish.
I could see a school of like maybe a school of 100 cardinals and then a school of like 50 bloodfin tetras for a little pop of red in there. Oh, hey, one of my pygmy cories is out. Now, where do yours stay most of in the tank, like water level wise?
All over.
Okay.
All over. Like they are rarely at the bottom. They'll go down there to sift through the substrate like the little cories do with their little butts up in the air. But then, and I love watching mine too, because the tank that I've just moved them in with soccer, I've got a really big piece of manzanita in there, and it's covered in Christmas moss. And so their favorite thing to do is to lay in the Christmas moss, and they'll just hang there for a couple minutes and calm down, and then they'll get all
Okay.
spazoid again. But they're constantly up and down and here and there, and it's exhausting to watch them sometimes. And they do it in both my tanks.
So, Steven, it's $100 worth of plants is not nearly enough. That is 10 Anubiases, pretty much, is $100 worth of plants. And I bought 20 Anubias and thought I would have too much, and I didn't have enough. So, yeah, definitely.
I like Anubias.
It's just so easy. Aside from when I'd have Anubias rot from extreme heat, never buy Anubias if it's going to be extremely hot out and the people don't put cooling packs in them, because it will die. I ordered over the summer a lot of Anubias, and it all came in super hot weather. It came right in from the house right away from outside, but that heat just does something to the rhizome, and it just goes. So.
Yep. It sucks when that happens. Oh, there we go. I said zebra pleco, and look who showed up. It is Fishie Mon. Oh, Fishie Mon. You know I enjoy you, buddy. Yeah, no, I do. I like Anubias. I had Nana Petite and I had Barterai. And I actually ended up giving my Barterai to one of Kyle's coworkers.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like super funny about it because, and I can say this because there's a lot of other nerds like me in here. When I was giving it to him, I packaged it up all nice, and I put it in there the way you should, in like a bag with little, because it was only going to be in there for like an hour or so. So I put like the wet paper towel in there to keep it moist, that type of thing. Well, I put a little note in there, and I drew up in the corner Navi from Legend of Zelda. And then underneath of it, I literally wrote, "Hey, listen," and then just told him like how to take care of it. Because I am that level of a nerd.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Eric, yes. So I can, anytime I've gotten Anubias from the co-op, I've gotten at least 2 good plants off of it. Sometimes 3, but every time at least 2. So it all depends, I think, when they get it in. Because, like, I've gotten some bacteria that's huge, and then other ones that's super tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. The plants thing, I always go back to co-op. Like, I've ordered from a lot of places, and I always go back to co-op. Unless it's something more on the more difficult side.
So, since Steven is here and he's a crypt person, I found this while I was cleaning for the desk. This was that plant that I was telling him about that I got for free on the last day of Chicago Aquashella. It was a $50 mother plant. And there's the kind of it right there, Steven, if it'll focus on it. Focus.
Rose and Maiden Crypt.
And it, it said mother plant, so I'm assuming it was. This is once I planted into the substrate, it just disappeared. So I don't do crypts often.
We got another question from Leo209.
Boop. What is this new beast for a 5-gallon nano? So again, it's gonna for the most part any Anubis will be fine. I have probably Gold Coin's a good one. The Bacteria, the Nagi's good. It really depends on what you're looking for. Like they're all basically the same. The leaf shape's just going to be different. The Nano Petite takes forever to grow. So unless you're going to buy more than one to cover something, maybe avoid that one. I have some in the tank over here, and it's a 1.5 years now, and it's slowly taking over one of the coconut things, but it's very slow growing.
Yeah.
So bacteria is probably my favorite just because it's got a bigger leaf, a broader leaf on it. And then the Nagini is probably my second favorite because it's more of a typical leaf shape you'd see. But it really depends on what your preference is. I would just say maybe stay away from the Nana Petite just because it takes forever to grow.
It does. And yeah, if you're going to do Nana Petite, then yeah, you're going to want to buy a couple of them if you want to cover. Like I
Yeah.
originally bought some to cover some driftwood, and they were so slow. And I'm like, I don't have the patience for you. Like right now, let me tell you what, this pink flamingo is trying me. It is trying me. The only thing that I am excited about is I have a couple new leaves and they're nice and pink.
Mm-hmm. So that's the
So,
Nana Petite. That's a year and a half of growth, and I started with. So it started only one piece here and then one piece there. So that middle piece is new. There's some growth in the back there, but for the most part, it is extremely slow growing.
yeah, it is. But it is really pretty though. Like if you can
It
really
is.
get going. No, Steven, I am not a quitter. I am not quitting the pink flamingo just yet because it is growing. And I have had because mine what happened to mine, was the same thing. It came in and it looked like crap, but I still had the root system.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually has sprouted. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 leaves. I have 8 leaves right now. And it is in
Okay.
my CO2 tank. I will say that. It definitely is in my CO2 tank with my S repens and all, which is also growing now. Yay.
I want to say this is the Nagini, but I could be wrong. But I think that's what this is in this one. And these two pieces alone take up the whole left side of the tank.
I will do that, Jenna. I will master it, and then I will send you guys some. I'm trying, man. Like, yes, right? So good point, Myrtle. Like, yes, Fishie should not be able to grow pink flamingo in the setup that he has, but he's got it growing like gangbusters, and that is not okay.
The Crips just don't like me. Crips and some stem plants I can't do. Most stem plants I can't do. The Bacopa is fine for me. The Mayaka is good for me. Hornwort will grow like crazy, and then it takes over everything. But like most of the stem plants I got from the mystery bundles have all since died. They all melted to nothing.
Yeah, you got some interesting ones in those bundles.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe my water's just too soft and low of a pH for most of it. Like even the swords in this tank are going brown and melting to nothing. And I root tabbed the crap out of this. I liquid furred it, and nothing seems to work.
Kelly would be one to pick her brain because I do remember. So she was, I want to say it was the morning show that she was talking about all of her amazing plants, and her water is as soft as she can get it.
Okay.
And that's why her snails, she doesn't want
Could
snails
also
or
be my
anything.
lighting, because again, top fin, the 5 gallons only have 2 diodes, so.
Yeah, that might be.
But like the stem plants, I put in the ones that are full on LED ones that are not just tiny little pieces of crap.
It could be the spectrum too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Looking at it, I can't tell what colors. I think it might just be white and blue. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I feel like
Tiger's going to be sending me some lights to test, so maybe that'll help them.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know you want a little bit of blue in there. Too much blue can cause the algae, and you definitely want some red in there. Red is an important one in the spectrum for plants.
Like I said, I have a grow light on my 5-gallon bucket that's got guppies in it, and that tank is green 100% of the time, and I don't care because it's just free floating algae and free food for them.
Yeah, yeah. And now, see, I love crips. Like I've got the pink flamingo, and I've got a bunch of crypt undulata, I think.
So Leo says, I have crypts and they seem to be melting again. Got algae growing on them. So I'm not a crypt expert, but Steven is in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Steven might have an answer for you on that one.
Yeah, Kelly, you want blue. I mean, even Bentley says that. Like most of his, I mean, you know that you're all in Bentley all the time in his streams on Tuesday nights, and he definitely you want some blue. You need it, and you need red. That's another big one. So when
Yeah, I
people
was
say
looking at it.
yeah, when people say don't have any blue, they're not. That's not ideal either.
Yeah, there's more than just one color to the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like I like the. I think this is a clip-on stingray. I think that's not gonna make this fall.
I have this. Yeah, I've got the.
This one.
Yep.
This
got
one,
that
I'm
one.
pretty sure. So let's see. We got three reds in here and 2 blues, and then everything else is white.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which and Kelly, it's so crazy because when you look at his fluval schedules for like the plant 3.0, he always has some blue in there. So I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, like green, red, and low blue. Yeah, Fishimon is actually good job,
Yes,
Fishimon.
Leo, the gold coin will work great in a beta tank.
Yeah. And crypts don't like to be moved either. So if you're one of those people that are like, no, I don't like it here, I'm going to move it a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. Crypts despise being moved. Yeah, you exactly, Paul. That's what I do. I keep my I have blue light in my spectrum in my schedules and all, but just on a very low percentage.
All right, Steven's saying crypt melts due to water changes and disturbing and moving roots. So unless that, yeah, I mean, I had it floating for a while and then I planted it, so I'm thinking that's what killed it because it was doing great. I was letting it float, had great root structure, planted it in the gravel, and a week later it was gone.
They can be finicky. From what I understand, they can be finicky. Seriously, Steven, you and Kelly both 100% on the blue light? Yeah.
All right, Brooklyn saying cut leaves off your crypts when you usually plant them. Never did that with mine.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Skull. I totally missed you coming in.
Crypts you rate my 7.0 water. And see, I have extremely soft water and a very low pH.
Yeah. Yeah. So Geek, I'm the same way. Mine have done really well, and I've got about 7.5 pH going in all my tanks, and I've moved them. I've moved them all over the place, and they seem to be doing just fine. But I know a lot of people have done the same, and they just die. They just melt and they don't come back.
Oh. I think only one of mine has ever come back in one of my tanks downstairs. But like barely came back. I had tiny little sprigs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the one thing I have found is when you get new plants, when I get new plants, even if they die back, I never get rid of them. I always wait it out because more often than not, it will come back and have new growth and just go. And my vals, especially Vallisneria, that's the one thing I found with all of my jungle val. It came in looking extremely sad, like brown, sad, but the root systems were good. And I planted them anyway. And now they're propagating like mad. They grow like crazy. Vals will come back. Even if they melt away initially, they will come back more often than not. Yeah, because I've got an Aqua Sky, Paul. I have an Aqua Sky and a Nano 3.0, which I love them both. I like fluval lights, period, and I like Phoenix lights. I've got a lot of the Phoenix, like the Stingray and all. I'm looking.
Hello, Roderick. That's a name I have not seen before.
Mm-mm.
I think most plants do well in low pH because ammonia adds to hydrogen to become ammonia, and it's easier. This is an easier form of nitrogen to assimilate. I've heard that pH and ammonia have a weird interaction. I've never looked into it fully though.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I want to say I've heard Corey talk about that.
Yeah, I was in someone in a random Facebook group was saying if you have low pH and high ammonia, the low pH does something to the ammonia to make it less toxic or something. And I'm like, sure. I still don't want ammonia in my tanks.
Yeah, I don't want to quote because I do not remember exactly what it was he said. I want to say he was talking about dosing ferts and dosing
Okay.
ferts into very low pH water. You're basically, I think his words were, you're basically dosing straight ammonia essentially at that point. But do not quote me at all. And this was back when I was binging all of his videos when I first found Aquarium Co-op and was like, ooh, good advice. Yes, Stephen, because you glared at it. You have to talk to it. True thing. They have discovered that if you talk to your plants, they grow better. So don't glare at them. Talk nicely to them, Stephen. Maybe then the flamingo will listen. I talk to mine every day. I'm like, look, you little shit. You better freaking grow.
So I actually have, speaking of plants, I've noticed that my tiger val is actually propagating, and I think it's thanks to Steven telling me not to bury the white part, because I'd never seen anyone else say don't bury the white part of your val.
Like the crown?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Because everybody always focuses on rhizome plants and don't bury the rhizome, but I've never in any video or reading ever heard anyone say don't bury the crown part of your plant.
Yeah, no, don't with the rosettes like that. Yeah, you don't want to bury the crown.
So when I replanted my tiger val, I made sure that the crown was not buried, and this tank has been a month since I set the 40 breeder up. I've got like 4 or 5 root shooters already coming out.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of like terrestrial plants, right? That in gardening they tell you the same thing, like don't, because it'll suffocate.
Mm.
And it's the same idea.
Leo's asking about, so is it best to put it on a rock or add it to a piece of driftwood? I personally prefer driftwood.
Yeah.
Literally a dab of glue. If you put too much glue on it, you'll kill the rhizome and suffocate it a different way. What I've also started doing is if I have a piece of driftwood, I'll actually like cut a notch in it so that I can kind of slide the rhizome in there so there's nothing holding it. And then they do root themselves. So you can technically plant your Anubias. With the Anubias I got from the mystery plant bundle, I'm doing an experiment. I didn't attach them to anything. I left the rhizome on the very top, and I pushed the roots in just to see what would happen. And so far, they're still growing. They have not had any signs of die-off. So you can attach it to a rock if you prefer. I've also just taken fishing line and, like, if you get the fake plants, they have that stupid little weight on the bottom. I've tied those to my Anubias and buried the weight so that holds it down and keeps the rhizome above the substrate. Corey was selling plant weights for a while. I've never tried those, but same concept.
Yeah.
So there's a couple ways to do it. If you want to go the super glue route, just a very small, like size of my pinky nail bead of glue on there, and it's plenty to hold it.
Yeah. No, I used to tie mine.
My Nana Petite is tied on.
Yeah, I used to tie mine, and then I moved to super glue, and that works so much better for me. And I agree. I haven't glued. The only time I glued them on anything other than driftwood was I glued one of my big Anubias to the piece of dragonstone because it just did not want to stay. I tried to kind of get that rhizome in one of the larger holes, but it was just like, nope, screw this, I'm out, and kept floating up. So I just put little dot of glue, and even then it would not stay. No matter what I did, it just would not stick to it. So I prefer the driftwood for gluing things like the rhizome, Java fern, Nubias.
Low to medium light. I wouldn't go anything more than a moderate light. Lower is typically better with Anubias, I have found. I know highlight will actually kill them because the one in the tank with the Data Petite, I was a dumbass, and when I went to Aquashella Chicago, I left it on. The light, I forgot to turn it off, so it was on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I come home, and I noticed the Anubias at the top of the water that's closest to the light completely burned. It's all yellow. It died off, but I didn't take it out because the rhizome was fine, and it's actually coming back now, and I have multiple leaves on it.
Yeah, they like the shade. They would much rather be shaded if you've got them in like a bright light tank, and Java ferns the same way. They
Let's
like
see,
the
Ricky.
shade.
Got some Anubias that some leaves are turning yellow. It's clearly deficient, but don't know what I'm missing. Typically, I want to say, if I remember correctly, yellow leaves on Anubias is an iron deficiency. I think. I could be wrong, though. But I thought that's what I remember.
Well, let's
And
check
again,
out.
depending on the lighting, so if it's too high of a light, that could do it as well. I don't know what kind of light you have on it, Ricky, but the light could also make it yellow.
Let's see. I know.
And
Co-op
Steven's
has
right. Sometimes older Anubias will go yellow. I know some of my older Anubias is going yellow. I'm just going to trim the yellowing leaves off so it doesn't zap too much nutrients out of the main part. That should be fine.
Here we go. Yeah, iron.
Okay. I did remember.
Yeah, if they have dark veins, and the leaf itself is yellow, then that's usually iron. Is at least what Co-op is saying.
Okay, that's probably where I remember it from. And Kelly's saying just trim off the ugly Anubias leaf.
Yeah.
It's
sad how much I refer to the Co-op.
Leo's saying you think it's better cutting the piece of. It's honestly, it's personal preference, Leo. You can try it every way you want and just find what works best for you. The only reason I started doing the notch thing was because when I was at the Clash and Jen Williams was doing her scape, she said they naturally in the wild will find a spot and just stick themselves in it before they root. So I was like, you know what? I bought a couple of Nubiuses. I'm going to give that a shot with those. And I actually just anything to not get extra stuff in your tank, like the glue. I know it's fine once it hardens, but I also don't like getting my fingers stuck together. Because it's inevitable when you work with crazy glue. It's going to get on your fingers.
Oh, yeah. That's the annoying part, especially if you're some of my moss I'll tie and then some of it I'll glue. It just depends. And when I'm trying to glue that moss, man, it's a mess.
I remember when I was gluing the moss on the driftwood in the community tank, I pressed it down and I immediately felt the burning of the glue. So I quickly pulled my hand off and I'm like, well, there's half of the moss on my fingers now.
Yeah.
So,
Myrtle.
I mean, then I started using my tweezers instead and getting the glue on the tweezers.
Yeah, I'll switch now to use my my little aquascaping tweezers that I've got to do that with. Myrtle, you should know by now, I like to make things more difficult than they need to be.
It's been in there for over a year. It could just be some older leaves. I would just say cut them off then. Cut them off, Ricky. Observe it for another month. If you get more yellow, then I would say do either less light or iron and see if that works.
Yeah. I love how we went from nano fish to
I know, now it's on plants. Leo's saying, you think putting an easy planter would be too big for 5 gallon? I mean, no. I don't think it would be too big. I've never had the easy planters. They don't look super huge. Is it for the Anubias or is it for something else? But I think you'd be fine. If it's going to be in the center of the tank, if you want to have a centerpiece plant, it'd probably be fine.
I feel like they're a decent size.
Are they a decent? Okay.
But I think it would depend on the footprint of the 5 gallon.
What size? What kind of did you say it was?
Yeah, Bunny, that's what I do. Anytime I end up with a bunch, acetone. 100% acetone. That is my go-to.
It's one of the Aquatop 5 gallons.
Oh, didn't you say it was the Pisces?
Yeah. So where's the? Let me do it. So it's 16 wide, 7.5 deep, and 10 tall. I mean, I don't know the dimensions of the thing. It doesn't look. I mean, it's more long than. I mean, it might be okay, but again, person. Oh, you got it from Katie Drop. Oh, okay, the tank. For the Anubius, I mean, you don't technically need the easy planner for the Anubius. I personally think Anubius looks best on driftwood.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it looks more natural when you attach it to a piece of driftwood, because then, depending on the Anubius, you're going to get a nice like jungle vine looking when the leaves start growing and rooting, and it looks really cool.
Yeah. And Lefty, I just looked it up. The easy planner is 5.25 inches long, 3 3/4 inches wide, and 3 inches high.
So basically, you'd be taking about half your tank then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it was a deeper size tank, maybe I'd say go for it. But again, for the Anubius, I don't think you probably need the easy planner, since you're not going to really be burying it per se.
Oh my God, Steven.
Geek Boy is saying use a gel glue.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the gel glue. It takes forever to frickin' dry. I will rather the liquid glue because it sets up faster, in my experience.
I use the gel super glue.
I tried the gel. It just, like when I was gluing my driftwood together, I went through like 6 tubes of the gel because it just wouldn't set up.
So I found a trick with the gel super glue, and that is number one, make sure that wherever you're gluing it, like if you took something out of the tank, make sure it's decently patted off and dry, and then put your little dollop of glue. Hold whatever you're gluing for a good like 30 seconds.
Okay.
And then let it cure for like 3 minutes before you go to put it back in the tank. And I have had great success doing it that way.
If you're cutting the notch, you really shouldn't need the weight, as long as it gets in. I mean, I don't think you need the weight as long as you got a notch in there and the rhizome is semi-tightly fit. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna root itself anyway, and that's gonna hold it down too. I have one in mine that's loosely held in. It doesn't pop out with water changes either. So
yeah, and Steven, that's what I have. I have a mister. I have like a little mister spray bottle. After I've put it on there for like 30 seconds and held it, I'll mist it, and that'll immediately start to set it, and I'll just let it sit there.
Nightbot is now working when we're about to end the stream.
Of course it is.
All right, I'm ending the poll. 2 inches and under won with 64% at 70 votes. So, or no, that's 75 votes. It had 65% of it. So, there's your definite answer. Nano Fisher 2 inches and under, which is consistent with most of what the internet said too. So,
yep.
But Fishie Biz goes live in like 2 minutes, so we have to wrap this up.
Yeah, we got to get going. We got to go see Biz.
It's been an interesting, fun talk here.
Yeah.
So thank you, Beccs, for spending your Valentine's Day with me, and thank you, Kyle, for letting her spend her Valentine's Day with me.
Thank you for having me up, Lefty.
Thank you, all the mods, for doing your mod thing, and all the super chats and super stickers. I hope we, answered your nanofish questions and plant questions as well, since we somehow divulged into plants, but that's fine with me. I love both subjects, so I'm definitely an easy plant person, Anubiuses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So thank you all for hanging out, and make sure you check out Beck's stuff because super close to 200. Hopefully you can hit that before the week is over. I will see you guys Friday with Ed, and then next week was supposed to be a Fishie Talk stream, but it's my 30th birthday, so we're doing a birthday stream instead. Maybe I'll have some guests come up and stuff and hang out. So no Fishie Talk next week. It's a birthday stream. We'll talk about whatever I feel like talking about.
Yay.
So I will see everybody around the intro webs.
Yep.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for coming, guys. Have a good night.